Hey, what's up? This is Flex Wheeler with another episode of Flex for Life with my homie Greg. What's up? How's it going?
Good. You?
Good.
How's the
How's
back?
the trend? Huh?
How's your back?
Oh, dude. It's it's the problem. I don't know if you remember. Yeah. When I was in a hospital and they were going to do emergency surgery and the surgeon never showed up and they wrote the surgeon up and then they said, hey, it's best you not do it here. Go to California. Remember, that's when I flew to San Jose and you picked me up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just bone on bone right now. The last, MRI that I had like probably 4 years ago, it was 100% bone on bone. And there was like, it's actually, what is it called? Because of the heat and the pressure, it's actually fusing itself.
Wow.
So yeah. So what happens is if I turn or if I lean over without support, I'll just hear this little tiny click, and that's just the bone sliding. So it's the nerves that grind, and it hasn't happened in a long time, surprisingly. But yeah, I was just in a bathtub and I reached over to grab the soap, and I was like, and I just felt, I was like, oh gosh. And then I just was cleaning and this, that, and other, and it was getting worse. So it got to the point where, yeah, like it gets to the point where, like, even just standing or breathing or sitting, because you're just not aware how much your back comes into play and your abs come into play to stabilizing you. And I was actually on a podcast just sitting, and I just kept like, oh my God, just a streak of pain. So yeah, it's a little better now. Yeah, it's a little better.
Well, I guess the silver lining side, that little back problem got us a really good business deal with Hemp USA and Hemp
Oh
Global. So
gosh, yeah. And that's what I
yeah.
went to. My wife was like, do you wanna put the hemp on? I was like, and I just like really forgot how good it is. Like, yeah, okay, go ahead. And what I also did is I put a heating pad to cause the heat to be even more, and woke up that morning and it's like, wow, I don't feel anything, but I literally just laid in bed all that day, just trying not to move, and kept putting the hemp on, and keep surprising me, man, how much that stuff really works.
Shout out to Farard, our business partner on that one, because if he wasn't so dog with a bone with you on that one, I mean, you were writing them off like they were nuts
Yeah,
until that back
yeah,
kicked out on you. That one, that might have been the last time it really went out on you that badly.
yeah, yeah. Maybe. I think
I
maybe.
know it's bad because you were in UK for the UK Arnold, and you were dreading that plane ride back at that
Oh
point.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Same thing. The sinks are really low in Europe, and I just bent over, and normally I got to put my arm down to support my weight, and I just bent over the sink to wash my face, and I heard this click, and I was like, "Oh God, how could I deal with this?" All the way home. But pause for a second. But speaking about injuries, I just want to give a shout out to Kayla Harrison, and hope she has a very strong recovery, 100% recovery. She just had neck surgery on a herniated disc in her neck, and what's crazy is she's been wrestling and dealing with this at a high level. I don't know how she does it. I have a herniated disc in my neck, and it was literally so bad that I couldn't even use my left arm for a long time, and they had to go in and take a piece of that disc out. I'm not sure what they did with her, but I still have problems. I still have my left arm is still really weak. So, but she's young, she's strong. I hope she has 100%, recovery. I know, Amanda Nunes must feel some type of way, but it seems like she's a great sport, and she's probably wishing her nothing but a great recovery, because it doesn't seem like Amanda wants to fight anyone unless they're at their ultimate best. So that's really sad for the fans and UFC and everything, but most importantly for Kayla. And I just hope you got some strong people around that keeps you out of your own head, because laying in recovery, that's all you do is stay in your own head and your own thoughts. And, for some of us, that's not a good place to be. So, shout out to her and her family and her kids that are having to go through this. And, again, I know she thanked her mother because her mother was taking care of her kids. Shout out to them too for stepping up.
Yeah, because the reports are saying that she's been dealing with this for a while, and just finally just had to get it done. But we're going. I don't know how long a while is, but her first gold medal was in the 2012 Olympics. And then she gold
Yeah,
medal again in judo in the 2016, and then she went pro as a MMA fighter. And she's, from the looks of it, she's been going straight through ever since then. So
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
imagine doing judo or MMA with herniated discs in your neck. That's
no,
crazy.
yeah. That's just, I mean, it's amazing what the human body can endure. You'll have a little bit of pain and you'll deal with it, and then next thing it's background noise, it's not front noise, and it'll pop up again, and you just keep dealing with it again, and it becomes background noise, and you just move around it. But obviously it was too bad for her, and thank God she had it before the fight with Amanda, because that could have been really, really bad if she would have suffered an injury in a ring. So kudos to her and being smart enough to have that taken care of. I don't know what happened, whether it was practice and it got wrenched or something like that, but yeah, I just wish her a strong recovery on that.
Well, keep in mind it's not just, wrenching and rolling and doing all that, but she's taking strikes too. And Amanda Nunes can hit.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
imagine having to absorb the force of Amanda Nunes's punches. I mean, she punched Ronda Rousey into the next decade.
yeah.
I mean,
You love
she's
to
still
bring it up, doesn't you?
I still don't think Ronda, seeing Ronda's recent interviews, I still don't think she's woken up yet fully.
Really? Oh, gosh, jeez. Well, she wasn't a great interviewer anyway. She
No,
was,
no, she's
because of her problem speaking.
intelligence levels. Oh, sorry. What were you saying?
Oh, look at you. No, I thought she had, when she was younger, she had a speech impediment or something
Yeah.
like that. I know she was a woman of very few words, on camera. So she was probably trying to hide that or compensate for it.
Right. I know. I mean, on the philanthropic side, I think she's put a lot of time in with some organizations that deal with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
What was it? I think in one interview she said she didn't speak a single word until she was almost 4
Wow. Yeah.
or something like that, and it was all just gibberish for a long time.
Wow. It must have been
But yeah,
hard on her parents.
that's that's gonna be a rough one. I mean, I'm never gonna cry for the UFC because they're a mafia anyway at this point. But this is gonna be their kickoff for their new streaming service through Paramount Plus. So this is
Yeah.
supposed to watch everything from pay-per-view, and now they lost their co-main event. And their main
Yeah.
event was, I don't know, maybe this was gonna be a main event, but they had 2 title fights in their co-main event, or the other title fight was for a lightweight title for 2 guys that no one really thinks should be up for this title fight anyway. So I
Yeah.
can just imagine what's like working for Dana White right now. That must be just pure hell.
And I heard, I don't know if it was true or not, but I heard that one of the fights, one of the guys jumped, wasn't able to fight, and they were calling in,
Oh, no.
gosh, what's the guy's name with the color all in his hair? Um, Great fighter, great striker, tall.
Color in his hair.
Yeah, he must like maybe a lightweight, but he always has like a kind of like a semi afro, or his hair is braided and it's
Sean
always,
O'Malley.
yeah, yeah. I seen a video. I don't know if
Oh,
it was true
wow.
or not, but they're like, did you hear, like, hear what? He's like, whoever dropped out, you're going to be the co-main event now. So, yeah, I don't know if that was a true video or not. You can never tell, but
Yeah.
that'd be great, Alan. I mean, I love that guy. He's an amazing fighter, man. Man, very confident, great with
Oh,
his
yeah.
hands.
They are the co-main event now. You're right.
Oh, really? So, yeah, it's a true
Sean
video, right?
O'Malley versus Song Yadong is the
Yeah,
as a bantamweight co-main event now.
right,
Wow.
right.
So that the main card. Wow. Oh man, that's gotta suck for them.
Who's the main card now?
So the lightweight title fight is the main event. Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett, and
Oh,
the
wow.
co-main is
Okay.
Sean O'Malley versus Song Yadong. But there's
Okay.
2 canceled fights for that card already,
Oh,
and big
nice.
names too. I mean, you got the Kayla Harrison Amanda Nunes fight, which is canceled. They don't have a replacement fighter, it looks like. And then Alexa Grasso versus Rose Namajunas. So 2 former flyweight champions, strawweight champion, are both pulled out. Also, it looks like.
Oh, really? Wow. Wow.
So
They used to
that's not
this
a good
too.
start
They'll
to the year.
find good replacements.
Maybe, hopefully.
Is Zeus loud in the background?
Sure.
Oh, you can't even hear him. Oh my God, he's
Oh no,
going
I
nuts
thought you said
growling.
is he allowed in the background? I was like, I
No,
can't hear him at all.
you can't hear him at all. Oh my gee. He is having a fit
What's he
right now. I
doing?
don't know. Just growling at the carpet. Zeus, no. Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah, but
Yeah, I
they're
couldn't even
they're
hear.
good at that. They got a great team. They'll find some good replacements.
It's coming up quick. They better do it quickly.
Yeah. Somebody, they'll get somebody.
It looks like Grasso pulled out because of injury, and it looks like they might have found a replacement for that one. So
Okay.
that one might still go on. Natalia Silva. Yeah,
Natalia. Okay.
Natalia Silva. Never heard of her, but good for her. She's got to jump up. I mean, she's getting into the business.
Yeah. A lot of people got their big start by filling in, and somebody else dropping out. That's their opportunity.
Well, John Jones kind of came out of nowhere that way, so you never know.
You never know. You never know. Achilles, go. I'm doing a Zoom call, you guys. I'm doing my podcast. Go. Go play. All right.
All right, from the world to the fitness side of things.
Yeah.
Interesting study you want to bring up today. What is the old wives' tales about high testosterone men, right?
The
High T
aggressive,
men yep, or even violent.
aggressive. Yeah, violent. What is it? The quote unquote roid rage.
Roid rage.
Yeah, hyper sexually active.
Yeah,
Um,
oversex, likely to stray, domineering, the will to do anything to win, the dumb jock stereotype, obviously, and dangerous risk takers. That's a weird one. I've never actually. Well, I guess I could see that. Well,
so you're saying they're saying like all these guys who do this BMX, where they're flipping way up in the air, they're freaking roid ragers.
or maybe they're just high testosterone males to begin with, naturally, maybe.
I don't know. I don't
Who
agree
knows?
with that. I think that's a bunk stereotype, just like the quote unquote road rage. We got more people who are literally road raging and killing people that aren't on any steroids whatsoever. And you got that going crazy than there is people who are actually using quote unquote, steroids or
Mhm.
testosterone who are not. So that trumps that freaking thing right there.
Well, now we got some science to back that up, actually, because these researchers want to put that to the test. And again, I know science is becoming kind of a blasphemous word in the fitness world lately, especially with the bodybuilding side of things. But
They're catching up. Science is catching up and proving a lot of the gym bro things that we used to do. They're proving that they were right.
well, in this one, I mean, I don't know how you guys treated back in the day, but I always kind of thought, I mean, the line from the Captain America movie where he says, if you're a good man now, you'll be even a better man. If you're a horrible man, you'll be worse, kind of thing.
100%.
I've always thought
I
that
agree with that.
more filled the voids or the answer to that one, but they put it to the test. They want to look at behavior patterns and everything else, and actually monitored these situations and they basically took 91 men around the age of 25, took baseline levels. So they made sure that all 91 men were at a normal baseline testosterone level for someone 25. So, probably above 500, no more than 900. Broke them into two groups and gave one group a 50 milligram testosterone gel to apply on a regular basis.
Which is
The other half
minute.
was that?
It's very minute.
Yeah. But they didn't want to, over hyper metabolize the testosterone side of things with injections. But the other group got a placebo, and they actually monitored levels as they went on as well. So there was an increase in testosterone for the men that were using the actual product. Now, going off of general stereotypes, what would you assume would have happened with these guys? They're 25, so keep in mind what it was like when we were 25. 25 with normal-ish high levels of testosterone naturally, and now we gave them something to bump it up even more. Based on the stereotypes, you would think these guys are going to have some serious attitude issues, anger, outbursts, cheating on everything from their girlfriends to games and everything else. They found the exact opposite.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, just they put through various other tests, but one was actually rolling a dice. So they did a solo game of dice rolling, which actually went towards money. So you could actually earn money with this. They privately rolled a 6-sided die and self-reported the results via computer. So it was basically all on your honor system. They monitored it, but they didn't really. The scientists monitored it, but they didn't chime in when they saw something that they would normally chime in on.
Mm.
Now, numbers 1 through 5 earned the equivalent amount of money, while reporting a 6 earned no money. So obviously, you roll a 1, you got €1. Roll a 5, you got €5. You kept rolling. Participants could lie to increase their earnings. They put them on their own honor and monitored it. A lot of people end up lying and reported higher payoffs than expected by chance, obviously. But the funny thing is, the group that was getting to the testosterone gel had significantly lower payoffs versus the placebo group and lied a lot less.
So they're more honest.
They're more honest. So obviously, we can extrapolate that the increased testosterone levels was correlative with a substantially decreased lying percentage. So less cheating as well, because basically other guys are cheating to earn more money. Now once they got the results back, they had to postulate again and start thinking about things. But they did notice through part of the testing that testosterone makes the mind more sensitive to pride, honor, and self-respect, driving a internal drive that discourages honesty, even when lying is undetectable and profitable.
So, I can see that in one sense, that like true alpha males don't go and start stuff, and they try to resist starting, but you have other real alpha males who are about that smoke, and that's all they want to do. So I think it still goes back to what you said earlier. It's going to make you more of what you are, period. So a person who's a natural cheat, they're going to cheat more. A person who's a natural liar or a natural, aggressive person is going to make them more of that. That's what I've always thought. I've always thought that about the utilization of source technology. It's going to make you more of what you are. It's going to enable you to hide your true person, the true person that you are, just like alcohol, right? People get drunk, they lose their inhibitions, and they say things that they know they shouldn't, but they say them because they're drunk, and kind of expect people to accept that, when they don't.
Yeah, that's one area where I'm not liking what the current HHS admin is saying, because I think he had a statement this weekend that they're encouraging a little bit more alcohol consumption because alcohol is a social lubricant. And I'm thinking you're saying one thing, you're saying let's deal with this testosterone issue in aging men, which is a great thing, and then they're saying let's drink more also. I
wonder if that's you think that's more of a money situation?
I personally, yes, because they were reporting that people are drinking a lot less in the last 5 to 6 years. Like in the terms of billions of dollars worth of product less.
Yeah, I would think that, but yeah, it's true. I mean, I've listened to a lot of people say they socially drunk because, excuse me, because they're uncomfortable, and just to have a glass in their hand to be able to communicate and sip on, or a beer in their hand is not really what they want to do, but they're socially uncomfortable.
Yeah, I mean, there's times, we probably all felt it, where you're in those social settings and not having something in your hand, you feel off as well.
Yeah. I just never gave into that type of peer pressure. But then again, I wasn't around drinkers. We didn't, back in that era, that's just something we didn't do. We went to clubs, but we didn't drink. It's just like something to laugh about. What? Drink? Get out of here.
Now, I had a friend that her drink of choice when we all went out was a gin and tonic, hold the gin. So it's basically, it looked like a gin and tonic, but it was just a tonic, and
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah,
was her camouflage. But then I also remember Kevin's story about the first time he got Ronnie to take a couple shots of vodka on that train.
yeah,
It's funny.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, but I just I re- I really feel that just it's going to enhance whatever you are. If you're a naturally funny, outgoing person, it's going to make you more of that. You can become the, the center of the party, of attention. And if you're not, you're not. So I don't completely agree with that test. And then again, how can you go with just 99 people for the entire population of men? But I think some of the things they said, is potentially true. But yeah, I don't think it's the really groundbreaking information.
No, I think it just further solidifies that those old wives' tales, the stereotypes, don't really hold.
Nah,
Um,
no.
they did some psychological assessments as well with questionnaires and and just observation. But they speculated that someone who has high testosterone is typically, um, they see them as someone who enjoys or strives for winning and high status, but that those people also had the mindset, it looks like, that cheating is to them is low status. It's below what it was thought of what they would do.
Yeah,
So it's a different thing. I mean, they also found that they did not have any difference in temperament as far as outbursts or the roid rage situation. So
yeah,
I mean, we
yeah,
were talking about this earlier. You would think that the golden age, your heyday at Gold's Gym in Venice, with not just the competitive pro bodybuilders, but the competitive amateurs at that time were pro level bodybuilders nowadays.
yeah,
And you
yeah,
can't say that they were all natural athletes and
yeah.
everybody else taking stuff. You would think that place would have just been a brawl for all every day.
No, man. Ghost Gym was like back then. I mean, if you mouthed off, you just got it right then. So it kept everybody in line. Nobody was disrespectful unless they meant for that person to engage with them. But I heard of stories of quote unquote, somebody having a roid rage, but I think that was just like a fad. Like I said, it's more people now that are out there killing people who don't take any steroids or anything like that than there are people who are actually taking active, sports technology. So that trumps that whole theory right there. But no, no, it was a different era back then. Period. It was just different times. Period. Just growing up. You said something about somebody, expect for them to come and throw their hands at you. There's no talking or what did you say or I have a right to speak my opinion. God, jeez,
We didn't
right.
even get that all the way out.
Oh my gosh. I have a right to speak my own opinion or freedom of speech is like you got a right to catch these things too. So no, it was just tremendous respect. But no, I think if in any way, like for myself, it made me more aggressive in training. It gave me like more of a tunnel vision of focus and people use these different things, game face and being able to turn on that switch. I just stayed locked in and enjoyed that. But I knew also I created the best results when I was just like all in 100%. So I know that's what it gave me. But wanting to fight or anything, no, I can't. And I came from a fight background, and I don't think I ever got any fights through the 90s and 2000s and even, now. I got more in fights when I was younger. So
Mm.
nah, that's not true. Not true at all.
Well, I mean, I'm not sure where did that even all come from? I mean, it's
Yeah, I think it's just catchphrases that people come just like, now they'll say like, this machine is like on steroids, it's like it's
yeah.
just they use it at when they say those things, they're quoting it as an aggressive
I heard him that time.
Yeah, somebody's up. Zeus. It's okay. Gosh, he's a pure watchman. Look out,
It's,
Zeus. Yeah, yeah. But anyway, it just like you start hearing that in movies and start hearing it on the news and stuff like that. It just became a catchphrase for something that's ultra aggressive or whatever. But it was a fad, and it's a fad still now. They still use it, and I just I laugh when I hear that because it's so not true. They can freaking Why don't they say that about alcohol more? Because that's another catchphrase that, hey, courage in a bottle. Somebody
yeah,
gets drunk and they're a tough guy and they want to fight. That's more of the truth than not. But you don't hear those type of things that often because now you can be talking about anybody. You can be talking about a CEO of a company or
mhm.
or anything. So, I think it's all just a plot.
Yeah. I mean, it's unfortunate because I mean, it was Ben Johnson kind of threw everything for a loop back in '88 when he won the Olympic gold, and then Congress had to get involved. And then again during the steroid baseball scandal in the early 2000s when they really kind of jumped the shark on that one. But the unfortunate part is you have a serious medical need for this in some cases. You know,
Sure.
guys with aging, and again, if we're going to go the route of we want people to live as long as happily as possible, then hormone replacement on both sides of the aisle is something that's going to need to be looked at strategically but seriously. And someone who's
100%.
like you said, yours got as low as 75 at one point after
Yeah,
retirement.
79. It's
That's not
79.
that cannot be considered. I mean, even if you're going, I mean, obviously you're not going to be able to get away with 100 milligram shot a week on that situation.
No,
It's not going
no.
to get you back to normal, even. But it's you got to be back to normal because I mean, what did your doctor tell you at that point?
Oh no. And back then it was only an option of, taking shots. And I was like, no, I'm good, man. I had to shoot over half my life. I'm good. I don't want to stick myself anymore. He's like, no, you have to. It can cause, mental health. It can cause, you know, um, different mental behaviors. It can cause bone density problem. It can cause like my hip sockets to get weak and everything. He goes, this isn't like an option. This is something that you medically have to do, or else we
Mhm.
know these things are going to happen to you. So from that point on, I've been on hormone replacements, and every new doctor that I went to knew that. So they immediately would give me a full blood panel and make sure that my levels were never too high, which is kind of like an argument these days now because I believe like athletes, pure athletes, have a natural higher testosterone level than not, and that's kind of like that scale that they use. Are you out of shape or overweight? Where a lot of us are more muscular, but on a scale, it looks like we're overweight. So
Yeah, because I know. I mean, speaking with a couple of people who are hopefully going to be clients of ours soon on the Prime Mode MD side of things, um, one of them was very happy about the situation because oh, there's the Prime Mode ticker. It's funny how that popped up.
isn't it?
He was going to his physician, got his blood work done, everything right. He went through an external organization to get it done. So total testosterone, free testosterone, estradiol, CMC, he got everything done. And his came out to just above 300 total testosterone. And the doctor said, nope, we don't touch anything above 300, and we don't really touch a whole lot below 300. And
Yeah,
he said he was exhibiting all the signs of hypogonadism. So, the lethargy, the issues, brain fog wise, heart rate, blood pressure was up. And that's one thing you didn't mention. Cardiovascular issues with low testosterone also.
yeah, yeah, definitely. I just certain doctors, I think just regular general doctors who don't stay educated are going to be those doctors who stray away from it. But
Yep.
if you're dealing with a doctor who deals with athletes and stuff like that, they're going to know, and they're going to know that that level is a little bit low, and they're going to be able to help you out with that. So,
How many
you
of
got
those
to
are
be
there out
careful with doctors you go to, because just because they say they're a doctor doesn't mean they know what they're talking about in that field.
No, they just got to keep you alive. But I mean, just Chris had the same situation. She went through menopause, the last few years, and um, she's started packing on a little bit of weight that wasn't always there in the beginning, especially around the midsection and her hips. And just to give you a bird's eye view, not many of you know my wife, but she was a figure pro back during the days when it was very difficult to get a pro card. Basically you had to get an overall at a national show. That was the only one you got. But no, they told her, first off, they didn't want to do hormone replacement for women, which is, DHEA, pregnenolone, and maybe some actual estrogen. But they're afraid of that would lead to cancer, which the numbers are pretty, I think there's more issues with giving someone Viagra, and some of the other medications out there are higher rates of cancer than this. Their answer to her was, I think they gave her some medication that's more designed for people with migraines that also had some side effects of weight loss, but they told her maybe she should start exercising.
Obviously, they didn't know what background she came from.
And she kind of looked at them like she's trying not to be rude, but she's like, that's probably not it.
Yeah.
So she does exercise 6 days a week at this point, still to this day. So
wow.
It's just that's not something they're taught in med school in the United States.
Yeah.
No,
you gotta be careful what doctor you go to. All doctors aren't equal. They're not. Simple as that. All surgeons are not equal. You got to be really careful. You need to go to a specialist in that field, not just a general overall doctor. It's not gonna work for you.
Yeah, I think it's also life experience, because I remember telling the story to Andre, who was one of our business partners, he's an oncologist. He's not an endocrinologist, he's an oncologist. But I remember he just kind of looked at me and then laughed. It's like he shook his head.
Yeah.
So some of them do know. I mean, he doesn't deal with this stuff either. He doesn't deal with the endocrine system like an endocrinologist would, but he knows that's not the answer given you do a full history.
Yeah. No. Yeah, it's pretty sad because a lot of people live in a less luxury lifestyle, thinking that their doctor told them the right thing, and not being aware that they need to go to a specialist in that field. And you, like I said earlier, we kind of, as humans, we kind of get used to things, just like a person who lives in extreme cold weather, like in Alaska where it's 50 below. It's normal for them and they're used to it. Where a person lives in Vegas, we're normal and used to, well, kind of, the heat. I don't know if we ever get used to the heat here, but you get more used to it than not. The human body just will adapt. It'll adapt to pain, all that stuff. So yeah, you got to be careful.
I'm still not how sure you and Dennis and Nevada and Arizona, I just don't know how you guys do that.
We don't hang out outside. I mean, certain times at a couple of months, it's just, you get out of your car and you go straight into the place it's at. But it is weird sometimes where I'll walk into a building and the handles outside will have like a rubberized cover, so that you don't just grab steel and just burn your hands. That is kind of interesting. But yeah, it's just, I'm fortunate my car stays in the garage, so it doesn't get really hot. Like if someone was working and had to go out and park their car out in the hot sun, yeah, that's an interesting thing, but you get used to it.
Now, I remember that year that we drove there for the USAs, remember? And we had to park outside the hotel. That transit, because from the hotel to the convention center was just not fun at all.
You're already sweating. Yeah, you're already sweating before you get in there. Yeah. You get used to it. You got tons of people who are moving here from California. From Vegas. So yeah.
But yeah, I think what I'm getting at with this one is this research is good for the situation, because it should dispel the myths of any kind of psychological issues coming up because of testosterone therapy.
Yeah.
Replacing we're not adding anything like we are with, we're not you drink a ball of beer, you're not replacing anything that your body is no longer producing normally, right?
Right.
No other recreational drug does any of that either, except for CBD, because that could actually do the pain management side of things. But if you were as a teenager and a young adult sitting at the 5 to 800 milligrams per deciliter on the testosterone side, and now because of life issues, we discussed this last night with some law enforcement officers, because you're getting older, which that's something you can't change, but the stress levels, maybe not eating like you used to, now you're all of a sudden you went from 700 to 300,
Yeah.
and that's just total. We don't know what your free testosterone is like. Then there's going to
Yeah.
be issues. That's where the medical side can deal with it, and it's just getting you back to normal.
Right.
It's recouping something that you lost.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there shouldn't be any stigma about that, but there is.
Well, like I said, all doctors aren't equal. All doctors don't continue to study. A lot of these doctors get into their practice and, they own their practices and stuff like that, and they're comfortable where they're at, just treating people the way they always have. And then you have doctors who are, dealing with athletes. They know that they have to continuously upgrade their education because technology is continuously coming out of there.
So that brings up an interesting thing since we started with the UFC. I don't know if you remember, maybe 10
Pause
years
1
ago,
second.
We started with the UFC stuff. Do you remember back in the day when they had a TRT exception in the UFC?
I don't remember that.
Oh, yeah, for a while. I forgot when they gave it up, but I mean, there were quite a number of fighters. The most notable was Vitor Belfort was on TRT, and there was an exemption for them. And that was actually the number one search, TRT exemption UFC. I just put TRT exemption, and that came up. I believe it was until 2014
that they changed it,
that they did away with it, and that's all of a sudden you started to see like Vitor went from looking like a machine to a 40-year-old dad.
Yeah, I remember Vitor. He was in his prime. He was we're still can banging it goes Jim Venice, and man, I mean, the dude was a specimen, and just the way he handled people in the ring. Wow. So are you
Chael Sonnen was on it, looks like, also.
Yeah, later on he admitted to it, right? But he talked about other guys that he had competed against, and threw their name out there and blast them. I remember seeing a video of him blasting John Jones and seeing a guy just handled him like a rag doll, and he was on something. So he knew John had to be on something. But
yeah, that's kind of where I want to get your. Oh, it looks like Dan Henderson might have been on TRT exemptions. So I'm wondering. So if it's throwing out the whole cheating side of things, let's say if you're obviously they're on it in their fighting years because they were doing something prior that messed up their normal levels, right? So let's throw that part out. Let's say let's say they did that stuff. Now they're hypogonadal, so their levels are abnormally low. And a doctor prescribes them, puts them on TRT to bring them up to normal levels, which I'm sure Vitor Belfort, when he was younger, because he got on young, he would have looked like a beast anyway. Not as big a beast, but he would have been athletic, looking like a crazy person.
Right.
So if it brought him back to that, what's your opinion of that situation with the TRT exceptions? Now we're talking athletes. It's not cheating, obviously.
It's one thing, like trying to say that a level is normal. You don't know what that person level was before when they were in their prime. You know what I mean? So like doctors, they have a baseline of what is it, like 400 or something they consider
400 to 1,000, give or take.
Yeah. Well, I don't even think I ever heard of 1,000. But that is normal range for a person. So like I said, I just believe that pure athletes naturally have a higher testosterone level, which makes them more of an athlete than not. So, getting them back to their normal, there's no way of knowing what their normal was. So say,
or maybe
I know,
normal ranges.
huh?
What if it's just the goal is to put them into a range that isn't within what's considered normal for the
Right.
general public.
You're
I don't
back
know
to
if I
being
consider
normal.
that cheating. Yeah.
No, you're back to being normal. I think it's a adverse benefit that if you're fighting and you have a subpar testosterone level, I mean, you're not, it's not fair because
Right.
even if you're fighting against somebody who's natural and say they have a natural level of 700 and because of whatever happened in your past that your level now is 300, you should be allowed to get back to your natural level. But I think that was probably the argument with the UFC. How do we know what's normal? And
Yeah.
a lot of these guys that were probably pushing past that normal. And that's an argument. I mean, I know people who are natural who've done tests and they're at 8 and 700, and that's their natural level. But everybody isn't the same.
No, I mean, athletics is all about natural advantages in general, right? I mean, Shaq didn't get tall because he played basketball.
Right,
He played basketball because he was tall.
right.
But no, Chrissy,
Exactly.
she coached a girl for figure at one point who was 100% natural that we know of. I mean, she's a realtor. She just did this for fun, but she was, I believe, a track athlete in college, like a fairly successful one. So
Yeah.
had that build. We did the blood tests on her. Her natural testosterone levels for and this is for a woman in her late 20s, early 30s, was 85.
Jeez.
Natural for women is as low as 15 to high is considered 70. So she was above naturally the regular. She was just
Yeah.
different.
Yeah. Like I said, I just believe that athletes, fighters, that are at a high level, they have a higher level of testosterone, which allows them to do more than the average human being. As I would say, like, the mere mortal. You have mere mortals, and then you have these quote unquote demigods, and what gives them that ability is testosterone.
Yeah, and I don't know if you remember the track runner Caster Semenya that just destroyed girls in the Olympics. She's
Uh-uh.
from and one of the African nations. But no, she looks very masculine. It was the drawback for her, and I guess her testosterone levels were that high as well. And
Hmm.
she was long and tall, so it just everything was perfect for her to run track
Yeah.
because she's
Yeah.
long, tall, and powerful.
Yeah.
And that's Michael Phelps. I mean, they started to make some. She produced higher testosterone levels than the average woman, but again, that's kind of the thing with athletics. It's about natural advantages as well.
Of course.
But they started to make some rules about that. But I mean, you look at Michael Phelps, his wingspan is just ridiculous. He was born.
Yeah.
You can't take a drug to make your wingspan bigger
No. No.
at his age. So
Yeah.
it's just something. That's why he was so good at swimming.
He found the right sport. Yeah. I say it all the time. You can love a sport so much, but you're just not built for it, and it's not going to work. And then you have, I mean, I'm sure you've seen people in high school who would have been great at this athletic sport, but they just didn't get into it. And you have the athletes who are normally really good at it. They were built for that sport. They found the right sport and they went at it hard. And then you have the people who are just highly talented and driven that find the right sport, and those are the people that you stand back and they just break world championships and
Yeah.
feats of strength, or the Kobe's, the Jordans, Larry Birds, the Wilt Chamberlains, the Muhammad Ali's, all these great fighters. They were built for that, but they also found the right sport. They didn't go out and try to be a professional skateboarder, you know
And they got
but they, yeah, but they found the right sport and they got at it.
Yeah, it's yeah. I guess the other. I mean, we kind of juxtapose the TRT exemption thing with UFC because again, these are. I think there's also the line you could take where they took chances younger and then that they messed themselves up for later on. That now they should have to just deal with the consequences for other people. I'm sure there's some other fighters that are okay fighters that did well that might be in that lower range, like 500 or so, that are competing. Well, we'll throw all this. We'll throw all our backstories and everything else out the way. But are competing and kind of trugging along, not winning championships or anything, and it's not fair to them. So I don't know. That's where there's a lot of nuance to this whole idea, this whole process here, because I mean, whatever goes on that WADA restricted list, I mean, we were able to get a couple of our products off the list and on the WADA approved, NSF safe for sport, and our hemp gels are now NSF safe for sport approved.
Yeah.
I never would have used or thought that CBD or even THC cannabis products are going to help you perform better in mixed martial arts,
Yeah.
maybe in poker, but it's not banned in poker.
Yeah. And then you have the other side of that where I'm sure there's more people who are using in those sports who are not achieving greatness just because they just wasn't built for it. Just like we know in our sport or just in a gym, there's more people with just regular gym memberships who are probably doing something who is never going to achieve any greatness in it. So it has to be all those stars lining up, perfectly for that to happen. And it's a very small percentage of that. When you look at how many people are out on a planet, there's a very small, few people that are built for sport, that finds that sport, that they're driven, and all the quasars and stars line up, and we watch them on TV, get down every day, whether it's the NFL, the NBA, the hockey league, or MMA.
Yeah, no, I mean, bring it back to my latest sport and your very Hall of Fame sport. The days that you and my wife got your pro cards, it was back in the days when, even at the USA's, I think you had to win the overall, right?
You had to win the overall. Yeah, it was just one pro that night.
She was the first round of figure girls back in 2003 when they offered pro cards at the amateur level, and it was the same thing. It was the overalls. I remember, her telling me stories about how you got top 5 and you're not happy at all about that unless you're one of those 6 girls that went to the overall thing.
Yeah.
So that's what's the percentage you have? How many bodybuilders showed up for open? Well, that was all there was, right? Open bodybuilding back in your day.
Yeah.
Oh man, it was USA's.
And like you said, you had to win the overall. So if you're a bantamweight, you got to take on the heavyweight to win, or else you had to go to the next pro qualifier. And there was only 3 pro qualifiers a year, and there was one pro male. Yeah, and there was one pro male that came out of that as a pro. So that's why a lot of us had to wait. Unlike now, it's just different. I won't comment whether it's better or not, but I will say it's just different. And I think back then is a reason why a lot of us, when we turned pro, we were great going into the pro league because, we were proven by time. Kevin, his first year going into, the pro league, he did well. My first year, a lot of us, because we had to sit there and wait, even though Kevin didn't. Kevin was just that good. His pro, his first national show, he won. But those are the guys at the Hall of Fame now.
I remember even thinking, towards the mid 2000s, they started giving a pro card out for every class at the NPC Nationals.
They did that, yeah.
A lot of the smaller guys, though, like I think even Jose Raymond, he turned it down because he said he was making more money as an amateur.
Yeah. He turned it down a couple of times.
But my point is, I mean, obviously, a couple hundred guys showed up for your show, right? For the NPC USA.
Yeah.
And one person got a pro card.
One, bro. One.
I think it was
which I thought was really sad, because how is a bantamweight in a national show, meaning that's, and I would say more so than not, everybody who was in that national show was built to be there.
Yeah.
They were a high caliber athlete. How is a true bantamweight ever going to defeat a true heavyweight? It's just
I can only think of one in history, and that's Clarita, that's gone and won an open show.
Wow, really?
But he had to go. I mean, how many years between winning his pro card as a bantamweight and then actually going and putting on, how much muscle did that guy put on?
But I'm saying as amateurs.
Right. No,
as an
it's
amateur. Yeah, how are you going to take on a natural
oh
heavyweight
no.
for the overall
Sean Clarita as
championship?
an amateur, but
Yeah,
bantamweight was not beating any that they had the super heavy class at that point too.
yeah, they brought the super heavyweight after my year.
He,
So
I mean, he's not beating a light heavy, heavy, or super heavy, and he's probably not
yeah,
beating a middleweight.
so they all had to go to the nationals because only at the nationals did the overall champion of each class get their pro card.
Well,
Yeah,
even
the
in
USA and in North America, you had to win the whole thing. You had to take on everybody.
I mean, there's more given out now, and obviously that's I guess the era that I earned mine. But at the same time, I mean, I was my call number was 734 when I did Masters Nationals, and I got there early to check in. So I don't know how many people showed up for it, and there was, there's more people that do not win a pro card than there are that do.
Oh yeah. Oh, geez, man. Yeah,
So
that's
it's not something. I mean, you have to think realistic. This is where I'm going with this whole thing. You have to think realistically of what you're trying to do with all this and what you're going to accomplish. I mean, how many people have you met that they're like, they told you, I want to, not even the ones who say, I want to be the next Mr. Olympia, but the ones that say, I'm going to get my pro card. And you're looking at them like, that's going to be a stretch.
yeah, and sometimes even now I meet them. A lot of them like, I want to win my pro card, but I'll never plan on competing. I just want to use it for business. And I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, that's interesting way of looking at things. But you know, even like I won't say a certain person name, but I think it took them like 6 years to get their pro card. So, but you got to think of the last 6 years of the guys who beat you, you're going to run into them on a pro
Yeah.
level, not to mention the elite guys who are handling business all that time. So your chance of making any money is
Not
it's
going to
not
happen.
going to happen. Yeah, it's not going to happen because you got guys who are in the top 10 that only might make $1,000. So
Yeah.
that's not even your eating for a month. You know what I mean? So yeah,
That's
you
poor
got to
tax.
really think about that. But I don't want to steal anybody's thunder who believes that they can go out and do great things. But you also got to have reasonable goals that you're shooting for.
Well, the reason I brought that up is because I just don't want people to go out there. And I think there's another stereotype with the fitness industry is we're just insane to a certain extent. Like we're just too, it's like our full identity, which trickles down to what we eat. So I pulled up a few of the items that you're eating. I think these are off-season items for the most part. So, but what I don't like is that people are almost taking, prep style meals and making that their entire life. And I just
Yeah.
don't see the need for that. Have you seen that as well in the gyms?
Yeah. No, it's just not necessary. I mean, even now, I discovered the amount of food that I was eating back then, 8,000 calories, 12 ounces of steak, 7 to 8 times a day was just too much. That forced me to have to train harder and do more cardio to burn off that excess, food that I was taking in. But back then we, believed in anywhere from 2.0 to 2.5 per pound of body weight per protein intake. It was just eat more, eat more, eat more. Where now we know to eat smart. And when I do diets now, it's your workout or your daily activities is what's going to cause you to eat a certain amount. It's not going to be the opposite where you eat so much that you're trying to build into a person, because then that excess is going to go towards fat. It's not going to go towards conditioned muscle.
Well, I mean, you were telling me stories about waking up 2, 3 o'clock in the morning to get another
Oh
meal.
yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely. Definitely. My first meal, I think, was like at 5 o'clock in the morning, but I didn't get up to train. I got up and ate and went back to sleep. And I mean, I still have that habit now. My wife, she gets up at 4 o'clock every day to get ready for work, and she'll bring my meal into me at 5:30, and I'll eat it, and I'll my first meal, I'll lay back in bed and go back to sleep. That's just a habit that I haven't broken, but it's not necessary because I'm not that active anymore.
Right. But I mean, this is, I mean, you were way more active back at this time, but this is prior to
Yeah,
your 2017 comeback situation, but you were still working out.
yeah,
Um, this looks like a salmon meal, some rice, and what else is in there?
yeah. Actually, it's a salmon, and it's a I think is
Like
that some
zucchini, maybe?
steak?
Oh,
Yeah,
on top.
it's steak also,
Wow.
and it looks like a zucchini or banana. You
Okay.
know, I'm good for even to this day. I eat the same way I did when I diet. When I have my chicken, I have my chicken strips. You know, cut them up into chicken strips.
Oh,
Now
really?
I use some like teriyaki sauce, but I have my white rice and I have a banana in it. And everybody I talk to is like, "What? A banana and rice?" I'm like, "You got to try it, man. It's crazy." And some equal or now brown sugar. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, there's that one. This next one looks like it's a breakfast.
yeah, yeah. This is just a breakfast. You know, I'm a ketchup freak. You know, so I have ketchup with everything. But you know, it's
Oh,
just
that'd be
some
hot sauce
fried,
for me.
yeah, some fried eggs. Forgot what
Or
the
spinach,
vegetable
maybe?
is. Yeah, yeah, and sourdough bread.
Okay. Well, I mean, obviously, this would be sacrilegious during a contest prep,
Yeah,
and that's
yeah,
why. I mean, you did you were healthy, you stayed relatively lean at this point. Because I think we were still working together at this time.
yeah.
I just don't understand how it got to such extremes for the average person just working out and working a desk job at Intel.
Because your body's not demanding that food, you know, and what's really crazy is I get it. Technology is getting, you know, better and better, but you know, even doing diets now for some of my clients are like, well, you know, how many macros? And I'm like, dude, during our time, we didn't, that word didn't exist. You know, I mean, so you have to write diets out differently for them to understand instead of just like, hey, listen, man, these are the foods you're going to eat. This is the amount you're going to eat, and that's it. Well, what about this? Or what about fatty acids? And I'm like, what? You got that from your food source. So I get times are different, but you got to think about it. And it's also an argument that the 90s and before then were some of the greatest physiques at all times. And we didn't know nothing about that stuff. You know, we didn't, you know, I mean, yeah, we measured our food back then, you know, but then it got to the point where now I can just do it by eye and know how much it is because it doesn't have to be that exact. But, you know, I think it's
It's funny you
overthinking
said
now.
that. Yeah, it's funny you said that also because I'm thinking, all right, bodybuilding, yeah. But then I'm thinking of other sports also, and you look at, NBA right now, you look at some players out there, they look a little, I mean, they're athletes, obviously. They're very talented, elite athletes. But some of the more elite athletes, Luka Doncic, even LeBron James, he's not looking like he did when he was younger. Obviously,
Yeah.
age is going to be an issue, but you look back in the day, Michael Jordan, when he was 40, still looked like, I mean, he wasn't as fast and as explosive as, 30-year-old Michael Jordan was, but he still looked like Michael Jordan. And
Yeah.
even the older guys, even Akeem Olajuwon, when he got older, he still looked like an athlete.
Yeah.
And the boxing side of things, I mean, you don't see, aside from, I mean, the heavyweights now don't look like Evander Holyfield or Hakeem Rahman and those guys, right?
Yeah, Ken Norton, those guys, Joe Frazier,
Right. I mean, football might be the one where they all look just as athletic because I mean, Christian McCaffrey he looks like a beast, just like Deion Sanders did back in the day, or
yeah.
Barry Sanders. So I mean, I don't know. It's funny you said it that way because now I'm thinking a little bit differently again.
No, man. And again, you're talking about pure athletes that found the sport that their bodies and minds were designed for.
Right.
You know, yeah, it was just different. It was just
But yeah, you're
different
talking
back then.
macros and fatty acids. You hear today, like in the NBA, they talk about load management, like
Yeah,
stars not playing. And they're talking about LeBron's 40 years old, so he has to work on his load management. He doesn't want to burn himself out. He's 40. And they brought up Michael Jordan played when he was 40. He played all 82 games and averaged 30 minutes.
yeah. Even regardless of his extracurricular lifestyle, you got somebody like the Worm, who played the entire game, and then I don't know if it's true or not, but they said during halftime, he would be on a freaking stationary bike, and this dude can just go, 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 go.
I think he said he didn't want to cool down.
Yes. But I mean, and he absolutely never freaking got tired. And I was just watching a special on him talking about his lifestyle back then, and it would be like, he like didn't even shower. He just went straight to the club, and from the club he came right to freaking, his workouts, and still freaking rebound 20 rebounds. It's just, yeah,
But
man.
I will always go with, and I know the LeBron James fans, the LeBron sexuals are going to crucify me for this one, but no one's ever going to replace at this time Michael Jordan as the actual GOAT. And the reason I put that out there, I'm not the 6 for 6 with 6 finals MVPs, but the flu game. Do you remember the flu game?
Yeah.
So June 11th, 1997, Bulls against the Jazz. And it's called the flu game because Michael Jordan had flu symptoms throughout the entire game, but played anyway. Turned out it was food poisoning, which could actually even be worse if you're playing basketball.
Yeah.
But played the whole game, 38 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals in 44 minutes.
I put it even more so because if you came down a lane, you had to be conscious that you might get knocked out back then. It was just a much
Not even the same.
more physical sport. Fouls weren't fouls back then, but you had to be, you had to be a monster just to come down and be prepared to slam, knowing that guys were just going to freaking try to just take your legs underneath you or throw bows or whatever. So I
Bill
don't think
Laimbeer tried to mug Michael Jordan how many times a game?
Yeah, I don't think the sport can be compared because it's not as physical anymore, just like football. I mean, wide receivers back then who were catching that ball knew that going across the middle is a chance that you might just get clean knocked out. And it was a clean hit, where now you're protected. So of course you can come down the middle and catch a ball with not having that type of fear factor. But those guys get it back then, man. I mean, go even further back when they just had freaking one bar. And
Yeah.
damn near all the linemen had freaking, very, little teeth. I remember this video on Otis System, how, he would on a line, he would slap the guy's helmet so many times that their freaking, head would be ringing. But that was his technique to get, it wasn't swim, like pop, 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 it was just more physical. So I don't think those sports can be compared, because I don't know if a lot of today's athletes would have that type of demeanor to know that they can get hurt or their career could be ended if they did something where now they're protected and doing it.
Can you imagine Dan Marino with today's protections for quarterbacks?
Even that, the quarterbacks back then, I mean, you could literally freaking get decapitated and it's a clean hit. I mean, it's no argument, you know what I mean? It's different, and knowing that they just stayed in the pocket, knew that they're going to get freaking hammered, but they released that ball to that receiver, knowing that they were going to get hammered after. It's a completely different mind frame, man. It's like fighting in a freaking, competition, knowing that a referee's going to stop it if you get knocked out or knocked down, versus fighting on the street. There's no protection. Nobody's going to stop it. If you get hurt or taken down or knocked out, you can expect that you're going to continue getting beat while you're unconscious, where, it's a different mind frame. Street fighters who just get down street fighting versus a lot of professional fighters is different. It's just different, man.
Yeah, that's so. Speaking of the different, here is where we change things up on the nutrition side for the Flex Wheeler training systems. Here's a couple of meals that we offer that were put together in our app. So if you look at it, I mean, the pizza part, that's some people like the whole white sauce pizza thing, but Flex, that pizza itself right there has 113 grams of protein in it. The shrimp scampi, the lemon shrimp scampi at the bottom, that has 108 grams of protein. So if you're trying to get your protein in without having to really suffer through just plain fish. I mean, how many times have you and I had to suffer through plain fish for food?
My gosh, geez, yeah, it's just
There's
it's
ways
ways
around.
around that, and I think a lot of people will eat like we did as a competitor, and it's just not necessary.
No.
You don't have to go through that torment. You can put salt and different sauces and seasoning on it to make it taste good and still have it be a good healthy diet and trying to reach your target. You don't have to just go hard like we did back then. It's not necessary. And you're not trying to achieve the same goals that we are. But some
Right.
people, they only know just to lock their mind into that. And, we give them ability where you can eat, good food and it tastes good and it also looks good also.
Right. Now, on the other side of things, that if that's your thing, if you like that stuff and you're okay with it, you get away with it, all power to you. But you're the vast, vast minority. And again, also, if you are
Stan
in practice
Efferdings.
of a show, then this doesn't apply to you either.
Yeah, that's the Stan Efferdings of the world. I mean, this guy still to this day eats the same way, drink water with his meals, one have lemonade or Coke. I just look at him every time we're out and we go and eat. I'm like, man, you just still continue to put me to shame the way you eat. He goes, what? It's normal for me. And I'm like, yeah, different.
Yeah, if I put a cheeseburger in front of you, the game's
Oh,
over.
dude, come on, man. Hey, that's my go-to.
Yep, I know
Freaking
that.
hamburger or pizza. That's my go-to, or lasagna or spaghetti. They're basically all hamburgers, tacos,
Oh,
they're basically
lasagna.
all a hamburger. God dang, you just made me hungry. That
I
sucks.
know that you
Well,
brought up lasagna. That actually sounds really
wow.
good right now.
Wow, you just messed up my whole freaking day, dude. I'm gonna go and eat something wild after this.
Which is pretty much right now because we're out of topics.
Yeah, we are. We are. But anyway, there you have it, another edition of Flex for Life with my co-host Greg. Please
Who's going
like,
to get lasagna?
share, subscribe, comment. We read the comments. We love to read your comments. We thank you guys all for our support. God bless. Until next time.